Well, we're inside and cool, and you're not. But thank you for joining us anyway here on 710 KORV. Hang on, I'm logging in. I'm punching in digitally here on the drive home. I'm Davis Rankin, along with Kennedy LaFave, who is getting our first guest all lined up, reading the riot act, as they used to say, which there actually was a riot act that was read to. You can imagine in Ferguson, Missouri, some guy riding up on horseback and pulling out a big piece of paper and reading him the riot act, which is like, get out of here, we're going to get serious. We'll be talking later on in the program with the Texas president of the NAACP about this. About
Texas president.
Yeah,
Did you say that?
Yeah.
Here this whole time,
That's
I
what I
thought
said.
Davis got the president of the NAACP, and I said, that's a huge
Gary
get.
Bledsoe that my
And he
co-host was
said-
let down because you weren't the national
I said,
president.
that's a big get, right? That's a big get. The
It is a
president
big
of the NAACP. And then Davis says to me, it's not that big of a get. I said, no, that's a big get.
I said a couple of white guys, including one kid who's only 28, want to really pester you with some ignorant
not even
white person
white.
questions. You're white. Don't kid yourself.
I'm 18 shades darker than
Don't
you.
kid yourself. White people wouldn't let Barack Obama be white, so he had to choose to be black. We're not going to let
That's
him
the
in
only
the
thing I
club.
like about
We're not
Barack
gonna let him in
Obama
the
is the
club. I
fact
don't
that he's
care.
black. I don't even like the. Let's not start this.
Yeah, somebody may think we're serious. I'm serious about the not letting Barack Obama in, but let's talk about something more close to. But we will be talking about what I regard as it's the racial divide just doesn't go away. Kennedy is
I got a lot of
time in his
thoughts
life
about
where
that.
he just really doesn't care about that. But
No, there's a time we got to move past the past, people.
well, now I'll agree with that.
And let's actually fix some problems as opposed to focusing on such minute issues and not get to the root of the
I
issue.
got no job. I have no future.
That's your fault.
The man's oppressing. Speaking of the man,
we got one
who
in
is the
studio.
man in Hidalgo County? Well, you are the man. The Democrats are putting up for Hidalgo County Sheriff. What's his name? Ed Guerra.
Eddie Guerra, yeah.
Eddie Guerra.
Because the
DV's
Democrats are real good at picking sheriff candidates. I'm not saying anything against Eddie Guerra, but I will.
Let's not slander the man.
Don't forget, 2 of the last 3 or 4 are now on their way to being behind bars.
The Republicans have chosen their nominee.
I'm just saying.
The Republicans have chosen for their nominee well, we're going to find out some of his history, but Al Perez is both a listener to 17 KORV and going to be the Republican Party candidate for sheriff.
Yeah, the Republicans have put forward a candidate for sheriff, and I think it's absolutely much needed, but
perhaps he needs a
who
psychological profile to find out if he's lost his mind to run for public office.
He really has, especially in this county.
If he didn't pay a parking ticket sometime, they're going to find out about it. If you got it taken care of by a lawyer friend like I did one time, then they're going to find out about it.
Well, we have in studio Al Perez. He is the candidate for the Republican Party, which happened last night for the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office. That happened last night, so you probably didn't get much sleep last night, up figuring out and whimpering in your bed. What did I just do? But I'm really glad that they picked somebody. I'm really glad that you're here, and we want to get to know you and all of our audience to get to know you. So I'm going to put this story on our Facebook page afterwards, the interview, facebook.com/710KURV. But Al, thanks a lot for joining us today. And like we've mentioned, let's start off. What were you thinking?
Well, first of all, it's really a pleasure to be here with you all today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I was thinking, I guess the main thing was the people that work at the sheriff's office. I've had the pleasure and to work with them. I retired from the sheriff's office back in June, and it was a lot of soul searching before making this decision, because ultimately I'm not a politician. You know, I'm a professional law enforcement officer, and politics is different. You know, I've lived here in the Valley since 1985, so I'm very familiar.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Los Angeles.
No kidding.
I'm from Los
You are
Angeles.
far afield. What drew you here? Usually it's the other way. People go to Southern California from here.
Well, my parents moved to the Valley, you know, and I have 2 brothers, and so the family was here. So after I got out of the Marine Corps, I moved to Houston, and when they moved down here, I joined them, and been here since. And you know, this is my home. I have kids here. I have grandkids. It's my home, and
do you have a vast family network like the Guerra boy does, like Eddie does?
Yeah. Oh no!
To be serious for a moment, do you have a big family or anything?
No, sir. It's my family consists of myself and 2 brothers.
Okay.
And My brothers and I are very close. My parents as well. Uh, my wife's family as well. It's all good. I really enjoyed the environment here in the valley when I first moved here. It was nothing like Los Angeles or Houston, and I think that's really what attracted me here and made me stay here.
We
So
had a
you've been
woman
here-
from National Public Radio in, and I think she works in Southern California. She works in L.A. and she said she found the Valley and San Antonio to be very different from California, much friendlier, warmer. Is that your takeaway?
Yes, I mean back in the day when I lived there, it was very friendly. But back from 77, 78, when I left, it's changed dramatically. The people.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, everybody pretty much knew each other in the neighborhoods and or what we called the barrio.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of Hispanic families and so forth. But um, it really changed after I left. After I joined the Marine Corps, it changed drastically.
Give us some more of your experience, because you brought up a few different points. You said you worked in the sheriff's department. You said you were a Marine. So give us I guess some of your resume and what makes you qualified to be the next Hidalgo County Sheriff.
Sure. Well, first of all, like I said, I am a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, and I served my country and I've served my state for over 30 years as a law enforcement officer. And the Marine Corps, their main priority is instilling leadership. And I'm sure you've heard or read that Marines are taught that if you're a private or a lance corporal and your sergeant is killed in action, you're able to replace him.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, it's about leadership. And when those qualities, they really come into play in the law enforcement field. Because generally, okay, we don't have officers killed every day, thank God.
Mhm.
But you know what? If you need to step up, you step up. Um,
What do you think? What do you think qualifies you to be sheriff? Why
well,
should people elect you? I guess is the
yes, sir. Well, I bring numerous things to the table. First of all, like I said, my 30 years of experience. I hold a master certification as a peace officer. I have quite a bit of training, probably over 3,500 to 4,000 hours of law enforcement training. I've been an instructor in law enforcement for over 25 years.
Okay.
I've trained thousands of officers in different topics, everything from cultural diversity to criminal investigations and homicide. I also have my own company. It's called South Texas Law Enforcement Training Center. And I started that company in 2001, and I still have it. And I provide training for agencies throughout the state. It's training as required by TCLOS.
What do you think the biggest need is for the department?
Well, first of all, I think that there should be a complete restructure of the department. My main thing is patrol. When I go out on patrol as a sergeant with two deputies for the entire west side of Hidalgo County, which encompasses everything west of 281 to Starr County, south of the river, and north of Brooks County, and I have two deputies working with me, what kind of service can I really provide for you?
Taco pickup.
Wow,
That's
that's
about two
is-
people.
Well, is that the sheriff's fault, or is that the county's fault for not funding the sheriff's department properly?
Well, it starts at the top, sir. It starts at the top. As a sheriff, if I was a sheriff, then I'm accountable for that. And if you come to me and ask me, why do I only have two deputies working the west side? I better have a good answer. So what do? You bring a solution. Solution is restructure the department. Let's put the resources where we need them. After all, patrol is the one that comes to your house for your report call,
Mm-hmm.
or they respond to your house for an emergency situation. Those are the ones you're counting on. And if
Was-
I have a weak patrol, then I have a weak backbone in my agency.
Was this disconnect, or I guess was this known before, or is this something that we had to add new staff to be able to accommodate, or is the 800 something employees able to fix?
You gotta
These
take into
issues right away.
consideration. There's a misconception that we have 800 law enforcement officers. That's totally incorrect.
Yeah.
The majority of our staff at the sheriff's office consists of jailers and support staff at the jail.
Hmm.
You got to take into consideration that at times you have over 1,100 inmates there at the jail. So the majority of the budget, the majority of the personnel work on that. The service that we provide in responding to your calls, to me, that's the ultimate priority.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because it affects you, the public, but it affects the deputies that respond to the calls. Okay, I mean, there's some serious situations that have happened here in Hidalgo County. In the last 6 months, there's been several police shootings. It's not getting any better.
Mm.
And you know what? Why lie? The bad guys get to see, hey, I've only seen one unit in the past 2-3 hours. Well, why? Because there's not very many, and the area that encompasses Hidalgo County is extremely large. You really have to consider the area, and we're in a population now at close to 800,000 people.
800,000? Almost missed that. You sure it's not more? No, but seriously, there's a robust discussion. By the way, we're talking with Al Perez, who's now the Republican nominee for sheriff of Hidalgo County. He was selected by the Republican Party last night. Well, I guess I guess I should belay that question. Did I say that in the Marine Corps? Belay the question because we had to stop, number one. Number two, I'm not sure it's material whether it's 800 or 900,000. There's a lot of folks.
A lot of folks.
He doesn't understand because he never leaves the city. But if you drive out, if you go out into the hinterlands, you'll be astounded.
Can't afford gas. I don't make as much money as you.
You're listening to 710 KURV. I'm Davis Rankin along with Kennedy LaFave. Al Perez is the Republican nominee for sheriff, selected last night. He'll be facing off against the Democratic nominee, Eddie Guerra. You're listening to The Drive Home. You're listening to 710 KURV. In the next hour, we're going to talk. In fact, after this guest leaves, we'll start talking about the state of race relations and the police in America.
Yeah, still
Kennedy
a
is
black
not
and white
enthusiastic about this, but
no, it just upsets me that people still think everything is a black and white issue. But there's actually a different take.
Ebony and ivory.
There's a different take that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you remember him?
It's all about class.
The guy that got his butt whooped by Bruce Lee in his last movie. No, wait, he was a basketball player in the Lakers. But he wrote an interesting piece, and we're gonna break that down. He says it's more than just a race issue; it's a
predominantly class.
It's a class warfare issue.
Al Perez is retired from the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Department. He spent 30 years there, and
nope, not quite 30 years.
Oh, not all right.
Different ages.
Sorry. And he is running as the Republican nominee, selected last night for sheriff.
He told us off the air he has done everything from dispatch to patrolling to all the pencil pushing, and now he wants to top it off and do everything in the office and be the sheriff. So, I mean, I think that's a good thing, though. I may say it in jest, but to me, that says that you have the experience to understand efficiency at every level of the sheriff's department, right?
Yes, sir. And when you have to make decisions, whether it be for the command staff or for the supervisors over investigations and patrol, you have a very good idea of what needs to be done. Why? Because you've worked it. I've taken reports from the citizens of Hidalgo County. I responded to their calls. As a supervisor, I still went out to their calls just to make sure things were done right. Not that I didn't have the confidence in my deputies. You got some outstanding deputies that work out there throughout the divisions that encompass the sheriff's office. And I'm sure you're very much aware of everything that happened with the former sheriff.
You worked, to be clear, you worked under Lupe Trevino and his predecessor, Henry Escalon.
Yes, I worked for Henry. I left, and then I came back under Lupe Trevino.
Did you think Lupe Trevino was doing what he has confessed to doing and what he is also accused but not proven of doing?
No, sir. There was a lot of rumors. I mean, just like in any other workplace, there was a lot of rumors to allegations. I never had any facts or proof that he was.
What about this Padilla guy, who's also he's not been sentenced and he's admitted to taking some money. He's accused of taking more or an undetermined amount of money. And
yes, sir. I mean, he ruled with an iron fist, and he did it for the sheriff. There was a lot of retaliation, a lot of singling out. If you weren't with him, you were against him. Kind of just step aside and don't get involved in nothing, and you were fine.
Following that, I think a lot of the way people look at the sheriff's department, they've lost a lot of trust in what a small unit in the upper echelon did. So a lot of that has been lost. Do you think that trust in the sheriff's department can be restored?
It could, but it's like I said, the biggest thing is I have about 4 or 5 things that need to be done, and there needs to be a complete reassessment of the department. Put the resources where you need to put them. You need a brand new, totally new command staff, a new beginning.
And command staff, they're the people who tell the deputies what to do, to be blunt.
The command staff consists of your chief deputy, your commanders, and your captains.
All right.
And they're the ones that oversee the operations in the different divisions, and they have to be tight, close to the sheriff.
One of the knocks, and I've never asked Mr. Escalon this, so I don't think it's bad, but they said he just wasn't political, and he didn't like to go schmooze with the commissioner's court. That's why the commissioners sided with Lupe Trevino when he came along and defeated Escalon. And I don't remember whether they were publicly for Trevino or not. How important do you think that interplay is, and how is a Republican? Because all joking aside, some Democrats think Republicans are they can't get their heads wrapped around it, why someone would be that.
And you know what? You're right. I worked under Sheriff Escalon, and that was the thing. He wasn't political, and they took it out on him for that. And there was no reason for that. He had worked as a captain previously. He had done fine, and then when they put him as a sheriff, they should have backed him, but they didn't. And with a former sheriff, they were completely happy with him, and they gave him everything he asked for. You got to take into consideration that it's very different from a police department when you're a police chief, and that's what I'm trying to get across to people. You need to hire the best qualified person, the person that has the leadership traits to run that department efficiently and accountably. I am that person. You can't sidetrack. You can't. How can I put it? When you hire a chief of police, you hire the most qualified. He goes through an array of interviews through the city council and so forth.
Yeah.
He gets hired. Well, here as a sheriff, the people hire you. And that's the way it should be. The people should hire the most qualified. The fact that I'm running Republican should have no bearing. The bearing should be, could I do the job? And of course, the answer would be definitely. I come from the inside. And the people that I've spoken to, I've really expressed that. And they understand. I know the people that work there. There is questionable people that work there. I know them. I can't prove nothing. And that's why I don't mention names. But can there be things there? Definitely. When everything broke with the former sheriff, my deputies, they would tell me all the time. They'd go into a Circle K, and they'd get frowned upon. People looked at me. I had a gentleman tell me, "What's he still doing there?" I'm like, "Sir, what are you talking about?" But we had nothing to do with what happened. And these deputies, they just go out and do their job. And you have a lot of dedicated people. You have a lot of very good law enforcement personnel there. And I guess lately, the morale is completely down, and people look at them like second-class citizens. But yet, they will respond to your house, and they will put their life on the line for you.
We're coming against the clock, though, but can I ask one more tiny question? You are running for sheriff for Hidalgo County. What does it mean to be sheriff?
Well, for me, it is definitely a big accomplishment. But, you have to take into consideration, it's not about me. It's about the people that work at the sheriff's office. It's about the people that the sheriff's office serves. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Me, I would just be an administrator, technically. If you really want to get technical, the sheriff is the administrator. What would I do different? I have never seen a command staff member go out on patrol. I would change that. Why? Because the command staff has to remember where they come from. They started as police officers on patrol. And I'm not saying that commanders and captains go out there and harass lieutenants and sergeants that are out on the road. The lieutenants and sergeants know exactly what they need to do. It would just be where the command staff can talk to the public and see what the public is concerned about. And therefore, I would be no exception to that. I'd go out there. And no, I'm not going to say I'm going to go do 8, 10 hours out there, but I would definitely be out there. And the command staff would do the same.
Al Pettis is the new Republican nominee for sheriff of Hidalgo County. He and the Democratic nominee will be on the ballot, obviously, this November for your selection. And do you have a website?
It will be up in the next couple of days. And once again, I really, really urge the public to look at the person. Who would you hire to protect you and your family? Because that's what it comes down to.
All right, Al Pettis, thank you very much. Listeners, we're looking at the news right now here on 710 KURV. Romantic, some said naive about life, having raised in North McAllen, which is where everybody wanted to be because it was so sweet smelling, as opposed to South McAllen. This is all he doesn't get it because he's not from here, which is good and bad. But
You're not from here either.
No,
he's from
you've been here longer than I've been alive.
But there are, and I've never gotten
been here
my
for about
head
4 years.
wrapped around it. But you talk to a cop, and they don't see it typically the way we do. We see it as right and wrong, good and bad, black and white. The cops see it that way too. In my experience,
Shouldn't the law be like that?
That's not my point. My point is the way the cops. I'm sorry, the way the cops have seen it. It's sort of like cowboys and Indians, or cops and robbers. Forgive me. And there's a scene in Casino where Joe Pesci, who's a stand-in for a real-life guy who was a complete thug,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a nasty, horrible killer. And at one point, they're threatening him with 2 years in prison, I think, or 3 years. And he says, that's just the cost of doing business for me. That's a threat? That's not a threat. That's what I do. You got caught, I go to prison. Now, I look at being put in prison for life as being a horrible thing, and I'm sure these guys don't go, great, I get to go to prison forever. But a prison term doesn't seem to me that it doesn't hit them the same way it hits us. It is the cost of doing business. It's part of what they do. They're criminals. They don't think of right and wrong like
That's
we
why
do.
you should make the prison system something that makes them cringe when they think, "Oh crap, I might go to prison."
I might go to prison forever.
When
they go to prison forever now. That's not working. That
our
doesn't.
previous sheriff, the Democrat, he didn't even cringe at it. He was doing these things. He's supposed to be the top cop, putting down the law and enforcing the law and serving the citizens, and yet now he obviously understood what could come his way. Didn't cringe at it. Come on, that's why I say the prison system should be made that way. Now he's retired.
An FBI friend of mine said
he's retired and he's going to get
full of people who think they're not going to get caught.
He's retired, so the Hidalgo County citizens are paying for his retirement, and he's going to get one heck of a commissary when he's over in federal prison. That's my point, and that's why I like the fact that
By the way, what about
Al
the
Pettis
commissary
is here.
system?
He is
never mind, don't answer that.
Hold on, I got to reintroduce our guest. He is the Republican nominee for Hidalgo County Sheriff.
Al Pettis, is this the ideation, the romantic view of prisoners from a college-educated Anglo male, me? Well, Kenny thinks I'm couching it this way on purpose, absolutely on purpose. I don't pretend to be from the streets. I never was from the streets. I'm not street savvy. I've never knowingly smoked marijuana. I don't know what it was. Didn't get high. I didn't get high, so it must not have been dope. Do the criminals see it differently than we do?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I worked the jail for about 3-4 years, and I saw a lot of them that served a few months of time, and a week later, who are we booking back into the jail? Same ones. You got to remember, you got cable TV, you got air conditioning, especially in the summer. All your meals are provided for you.
You have no freedom. You can't do what you want.
But some.
Hang on, sorry. No, I just wanted an answer from. That's the pregnant question. They can't do what they want. Why is this cool with them?
Maybe that is what they want, and it's
bingo.
You got to remember the gang enterprise, the ideology that the gang members run in the jail is complex. They have everything from chain of command to their guidelines and rules.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised at how they work, and the criminal enterprise is alive and well.
Yeah. There was a long story in the New Yorker about the Baltimore facility, a renowned Baltimore detention facility, which they also use for long-term sentences, and it was run by the gangs. Now, it was a completely black thing. It was not. I don't think there's white people assigned to it. I'm not sure how many white people live in Baltimore any longer.
not many.
But it was completely run by the gangs. I mean, and they had these guys. They recorded their phone calls, And there was a relationship between them and the guards, who were, a lot of them were females. They were having sex with the guards. They were having sex with the guards, and they were. One guy said nothing happened in that jail that he didn't approve of or control. Now, remember, this is an inmate. This is not the guy running the prison.
It's like, the standards have changed at the Hidalgo County Jail. I worked at the old jail. That was at the old sheriff's office over on Business 281. And this jail is totally different, and the personnel do a good job there. I have yet to hear that there was a major situation that they could not handle. So they're doing as far as I'm concerned, they're doing a good job. And you haven't had any big break in the jail where, compared to the law enforcement side, which it encompasses us and the command staff and personnel and so forth. And what Kelly was saying is absolutely true. If you get a couple $100,000 and you're going to go do 2 years of prison time, think about it. When I get out, everything will be provided for me. When I get out, my money's sitting there. But of course, it's not going to be a couple $100,000. It's going to be quite a bit more.
Sounds like we're in the wrong line of work.
I know. I just
now,
go.
Kennedy can defend himself, but I can't.
Think about it. I had to sit with you for the last 2 years. That's worse than prison.
You don't have to worry about getting gang raped.
I don't know. I don't know.
Don't I know you have many comic quips but don't.
Are
say,
you sure I don't have to? I keep my belt on tight. Let's just say
that's
that.
not true. His pants are always sagging.
Oh boy!
One of these days, we're going to give you an atomic wedgie. You'll never know where it comes from.
No,
but what do you do if you were elected to be sheriff? What do we do to kind of let people know, like, look, I got everything under control? Before, I mean, you have to look at we look at the history. Well, I look at the history, not being from here. I look at the history. You got 2 of the last 3 or 4 sheriffs are dirty, and everybody knows it. I mean, it's not even cheeseman anymore.
No,
it's legit news. Everybody knows all of that. And so we know these guys are now going to go into the prison system, and they're going to be treated way above class of the regular prisoners, the one that they put in there, because we got to protect them, right? Because
definitely
they're the sheriffs,
and there goes.
But they're just as bad as the criminals there. Like, so how do you relate to us as regular Joe Schmoes? Be like, this is what we've given. We've always put a Democrat in charge, and this is what we keep getting. Do we flip and go to the Republican Party?
He's hoping
and go vote for Al Perez?
Well,
what do we get different? Because this is what we've gotten. Are we sure that we should trust the other side?
I'm definitely hoping for that. I'm definitely hoping that the public really looks at the experience, the credentials behind it. I retired from the sheriff's office, so I'm very familiar with the personnel there, what needs to be done. Like I said, just one of the things, once again, increasing our patrols, but we also have to show the public, and not only show the public by there being a bunch of patrol units out there and their response time coming down quite a bit, but by integrity. Integrity, accountability, transparency. I think I'm a very firm believer in a citizens review board.
Yes.
Where I can show members of the public, you know what? We conducted this investigation. This was our findings. The findings were founded, and this is the punishment we recommend. What do you all recommend? Why? Because then I can show that it's not the sheriff bringing down punishment, because that guy's my compadre. I'm going to take care of him. But that guy over there, I don't like him. So I'm going to give him 10-day suspension. They committed the same violation of policy. Okay? So we need to get rid of that. Another thing that I really like, it's called the violation. It's a violation and punishment manual, and it would be very standard. If you commit this violation, that is your punishment.
Perfect.
It's already there. I'm not going to make a decision on it. It's already there. So the investigation concludes that you committed that violation, and I'm talking about violation of policy. Then that's the punishment you're going to get.
It's 2014. You're saying that stuff isn't implemented already?
No. Law enforcement down here, we're about 25 years behind Harris County and Bexar County. Another thing that I thought about was maybe attempting to begin a relationship with the office of the Inspector General for the state of Texas, and they come in and we conduct a joint internal affairs investigation depending on
Instead
the
of just you
severity
doing it, yeah.
of the violation. You know, if there was a shooting, stuff like that, why? Look, there is personnel at the sheriff's office that can conduct a very adequate investigation. But if there's one member of the public says, you know what, I would really feel more comfortable if you had somebody else come in that doesn't work here and assist in the investigation, there wouldn't be a problem doing that.
That's Al Perez. He is the GOP nominee for Hidalgo County Sheriff. You can find his name in November on the ballot. You're going to get two choices. It's going to be him or Eddie Guerra, who is the interim sheriff.
There is a Libertarian Party candidate.
I'm sorry, Vince Ousley as well. Great man. Vince Ousley is also on that. We've interviewed all three of these guys. You got to know who the candidates are now. I hope you guys find out more about them. Search online. Al's website will be up in a few days. So that'll be good if you need to purchase somebody to make this website. I'm readily available. I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
But we're going to take a short break. We'll tell you what we're going to talk about next hour right after this on News Talk 710 KURV.
On the morning news, finish the following sentence. It's so hot in the Rio Grande Valley. Give me a good punchline, and you could be the daily qualifier for a chance to win a brand new 3-ton AC unit from Elko Electro Cooling.
South Texas Buick GMC, it's online at South